r/us credit. What did a school teacher say that stuck with you? After being caught smoking pot in high school, 1986, my science teacher, "Hi Mr. Fishbean," said to me, "There is a time and place for everything. This is not the time, nor the place." He did not report me to administration. He was a great teacher. Professor Oak said the same thing when I tried to fish in the Pokemon Center. His name means fish leg. Edit. I'm only in German too, didn't know bean also means bone. Edit. Bruh. My geometry teacher was super chill. He taught us to play poker and blackjack. On the last day of school he said, "Remember, if you ever need anything or have any questions while you're at this school, there are about 50 other teachers you should go to before you come to me." My geometry teacher was too busy getting poked by my history teacher to care about us. I went from honors to support. I'm FB friends with several of my old teachers. I once wrote about how I had the recurring nightmare of being in my chemistry teacher's class and having to take an exam, but not having studied for it. He replied saying that his recurring nightmare is my being in his class. He should have just sent you a study guide for one of his exams. Maximum sass. I think he retired about 20 years ago. You're a spoon and a knife block when asked why most of my friends were high achievers and I was only average. Ever tried to eat ice cream with a knife? You're useful in your own way, bro, keep it up. Edit. Typo. I think that's low-key what the professor was getting at. I hope so at least. School isn't about being smart. It's about being really good at playing a particular type of game. It's honestly a fantastic analogy. You can cut stuff with a spoon. It just requires more effort. I know what it is to be young, but you don't know what it is to be old. I don't know why and how it came up, but our English teacher asked me if I understand that. It was the first year, and I was 10, and I definitely did not understand. But it somehow stuck in my mind as the sound of the sentence, until I could decipher the memory in retrospect. As my dad said, I have been 17, you haven't been 50. A parental variation that I've said to my kids when I seem confused, distracted, frustrated, or on edge. Remember that I, as a parent, have to keep track of several people simultaneously and provide for them, and I have to do that while anticipating the future and dealing with the consequences of the past. You, as a kid, are only responsible for yourself, for the most part. What do they call someone who graduated vet school with a 2.0 GPA? Doctor. My first term anatomy professor telling us to stop fretting so much about the grades and worry about the knowledge. My anatomy teacher was a cool dude. He'd give us little tidbits of advice before each test, ranging from always put your shopping cart away to you don't have to be 100% okay 100% of the time, and that's 100% okay 100% of the time. He's definitely one of the best teachers I've had. Teachers like marking your homework as much as you like doing homework. So, just don't do the homework, makes life easier for everybody. Can't argue with that logic. Can't be accused of procrastinating on your homework if you never actually do the homework. Why I don't assign it anymore. More than half the kids don't do it, the rest copy it, and about 3 smart kids do it themselves, and they don't really need to. About 3 smart kids do it themselves, and they don't really need to. When I was a kid there was a guy in my class who always aced tests and got constant good contribution in class. Very clearly smart, and always understood everything that was being taught. His grades at the end of the year were always very average though, because he couldn't be fucked to do homework and that ruined his report card. Not because he didn't understand, but because it was literally a pointless waste of time. He gave me this nickname. My friends still call me Behind Joe 15 years later. I once asked my teacher something about the subject, and she said, "I don't know, but I'll do some research and get back to you tomorrow." I'm studying to be a teacher, and one of my teachers told us there is no shame in admitting to your students that you don't know something. However, you should look it up to answer it next time you see them and be prepared for the next time you get asked that. Excuse me miss, this class on the effects of illegal substances is really interesting, but is it true marijuana makes you really hungry? My teacher told me that I had a beautiful soul and mind, which I took as meaning that I was fugly and was being pitied, but later on realized that it was her way of showing me special attention because I was an introverted loner. In French class in high school, over 20 years ago, part of the lesson was going over some sentences in French. She pointed one out in particular. I go to school on the bus. My horrible attempt at typing it was something like Je viens à l'école en bus. I understand I've probably triggered people who speak French. I apologize. I remember vividly the teacher saying, for some reason, this is the only French any of my students ever remember after they're done with this class. Here I am, 2+ decades, removed from that class in the 90s, and that's the only French I remember. He said with rage, you used to be one of the good ones. A teacher said this to me, but instead he said with a tinge of sadness. Did he say this after he chopped off your legs and left you to die on Mustafa? A good mathematician is a lazy mathematician. As the lazier they are, the more time and effort they put into finding the easiest solution. Laziness is the driving force behind all innovation. Hard work only makes you tired. There's no benefit to being right if you can't make people listen to the answer. My science teacher told me something similar. The point of arguing is not to prove that you are right, but to convince the other person that you are right. The point of arguing is to find out what is right. You shouldn't just assume you are right, and nor should the other person. I had a professor say, an argument is an exchange of ignorance. A discussion is an exchange of ideas. I think it fits in this thread. In my senior year we had a dinner at school. There was a very long queue for the desserts, so I went and asked a history teacher where it started, because I couldn't find it. It was pretty chaotic. The teacher proceeded to put an arm around me, walk me to the desserts table, and say, Ray my boy, fuck the queue. First day of science class. Many of the topics I will be teaching you this year will likely be proven false throughout your life. I love teachers that are honest with students. Simply saying something like you'll never need to know this, but it's part of the exam, so we have to is so much more likely to get me to learn something than just saying it's important. Sounds like an ace teacher. I had a maths teacher who was an older woman, really strict, and nobody particularly liked her. We mocked her way of speaking and were generally mean teenage assholes. Once, when I was around 15, I hadn't finished my homework, so I dropped my book in a puddle and showed it to her in class to say I'd lost the homework so couldn't hand it in. She questioned me a bit on how it had happened, then asked me to stay after class. The whole lesson I was shitting myself, expecting to be absolutely bar locked once everyone else had gone. So when the bell rang I sheepishly went up and sat at her desk after everyone had left. To my surprise, she didn't shout at me, but gently asked if I was being bullied and somebody had taken my workbook and ruined it on purpose. I was a little skinny kid with glasses and braces, so I can see why she would have thought that. But in that moment I suddenly saw her as a human being with feelings and empathy, and not just a teacher. I felt like shit for the way I had treated her, and for lying about what had happened. I never admitted it to her, just reassured her that I was fine. But it did stick with me, and I was much less of a dick to teachers after that. This reminds me of a similar thing that happened to me at around the same age that I still cringe about sometimes. I was several weeks into a course in high school. I still hadn't bought the textbook. When the teacher found out I didn't have the book, she took me aside and asked why. Being a dumb teenager, without thinking I gave her some lame excuse about the book being too expensive. My family was solidly middle class, and, although not rich, my parents definitely would have bought the book for me. The real reason was just that I was lazy. But my teacher looked sincerely concerned and quietly handed me a $20 bill. I was caught off guard and mortified. Of course, I did buy the book right away after that. And then later, that year returned a $20 to the teacher. I always struck by the generosity of a teacher who would do that for her students. But I felt awful about how what I thought was an innocent lie turned out. Definitely a valuable lesson in honesty, lol. There are only two kinds of people who can really stick it out as a teacher. Ones who care about children, and ones who need to be the most powerful person in the room to feel alive. To varying degrees of course. But I feel there is little in between. I wonder if maybe she was bullied when she was younger and that's what made her so strict and blunt. And then so empathetic once she saw someone who might be in trouble. I had a teacher who I suspect this of. He was a big guy with a beard and put on a tough guy persona, but was super smart too and taught math. When I first had him, I was part of the athletic/jock crowd and he really seemed to have it out for me. Over my next few years in high school I gradually moved into a more academic crowd and made being in the school band more of a priority for me. I still played sports, but I wasn't known for that anymore. When he found out I was in the school band he started treating me way differently. One time one of my elective classes was just kind of chilling out the day before winter break and the teacher decided to arrange all our desks in a circle. He had everyone anonymously write something that was troubling them at the moment and he would go through and give some advice. I wrote about my parents' constant fighting and how I feared their inevitable divorce and the possibility of moving across country with my mother. I wish I could remember what he said, but I vividly remember almost crying because what he said hit so hard, but I kept it together. Less than a month later, both things happened. LMAO. I took Latin all 4 years of high school. I quickly realized I despised the language, but I stuck with it for the teacher himself. He alone was worth it. Our Latin class was right above the hallway with classrooms for special needs kids. One day, after it was apparent nobody did their homework, my teacher stopped class and said, "You're all taking what you have for granted, and it's inexcusable. There are several dozen kids in the hallway below you who wish they had the mental facilities to do homework." I did my Latin homework regularly after he said that. Once you're an adult, you choose your own fate. Your mom won't control you anymore. This came from a 9th grade Algebra 1 teacher who took the time to tutor me. My mom was / is a anti-vaxxing, cult following nutbag who didn't think school was important because Armageddon is coming. I was terrible at math until I met him. It's been 25 years and I think of this teacher still. I'm grateful. Don't talk to mom anymore. She got tired of me asking where Armageddon was. This good boy knows what bad boys look at. Please like, comments, subscribe and share the video. Thanks for watching.